This tutorial is for 2nd grade Module 4, Part 2, Lesson 16b. In this lesson, we're going to continue using tape diagrams to solve word problems, but in today's problems, we're looking at comparison across two different sets of items. So we're going to actually use two tapes to make that comparison. If we look at the first problem, it says Peter drew 19 rocket ships. Rose drew 5 fewer rocket ships than Peter. How many rocket ships did Rose draw? I'm going to start by writing an answer statement so I know the goal of the problem. The final question says how many rocket ships did Rose draw? So I'll start by saying Rose drew blank rocket ships. Now I have my two tapes drawn for me and I have to figure out which is Peter's and which is Rose's. It says Peter drew 19 rocket ships. Rose drew 5 fewer rocket ships. So I know that Rose's tape will be smaller than Peter's. That means that Peter has the top tape and Rose has the bottom. And what else do we know? We know that Peter drew 19 rocket ships. So we'll put 19 here. And then we don't know how many rocket ships that Rose drew. But we do know the number she drew is 5 fewer than the number Peter drew. So that's what this dotted box here shows. We know that the difference between the two tapes is going to be 5. So now we still have to figure out how big Rose's tape is. Well, if we think about it, if both of these tapes were the same size, then this portion of Peter's would be 5. And then this portion would be the number we add to 5 to get 19. Well, 14 and 5 make 19. So that means Rose's tape has to equal 14. So Rose drew 14 rocket ships, and that makes sense because 14 is 5 fewer than 19. Let's look at another example. This one says during the summer, Ben watched 9 movies. Lee watched 4 more movies than Ben. How many movies did Lee watch? Again, we'll start with our answer statement. So the question says how many movies did Lee watch? We'll say Lee watched blank movies. Now let's label our tapes. We have to decide who has the larger tape. So Ben watched 9 movies, but Lee watched 4 more than Ben. So that means Lee is going to have the longer tape this time. So we have Lee, and then we have Ben. And we know that Ben watched 9 movies, so we'll fill that in for Ben. We don't know how many movies Lee watched, but we do know that the section of his tape that's more than Ben's would equal 4. So this portion equals 4. So now I just have to ask myself, if this portion is 4, and we know that this tape would be equal to Ben's, that's going to be 9, the two tapes put together would equal 13. That means Lee watched 13 movies, and 13 is 4 more than 9, so that makes sense with our problem. Let's look at one more. This one says Adam's family packed 10 suitcases for vacation. Adam's family packed 3 more suitcases than Fran's family. How many suitcases did Fran's family pack? So we'll start with our answer statement. Fran's family packed blank suitcases. Now let's decide who has more. Well, it says Adam's family had 10. Adam's family packed 3 more than Fran's family. So Adam's family would have the larger tape. So we'll put that one on top. So we'll say Adam's family. And then Fran's family. We know that Adam's family packed 3 more suitcases. So the difference in size here is going to be 3. We also know that Adam's family packed 10 suitcases altogether. So this portion of his tape must be 7. And since this portion of his tape is equal to all of Fran's tape, then her tape must also be 7. which means Fran's family packed 7 suitcases. And since Adam's family packed 3 more than Fran's, that makes sense, because 10 is 3 more than 7.